So this video is a guess about the position of the Generation X right now in the state of things. What things? Things. So how to talk about Generation X without feeling you are a dinosaur, because you remember what reality bites is. Okay, so this video is going to be about reflecting on how experience and also a point of view can make Gen Xers right now more important than boomers, but also millennials or Generation Z for a lot of reasons, especially those in shape. That's not really true. But let's face it, Generation X, we are mature. Those who were born between late 60s and late 70s are now middle-aged. Proof of that, a video of a concert, Pearl Jam concert. So concerts are back, pandemic is receding, concerts are back, and then the drummer had some issues. So guess what? One kid from the audience jumped, and Eddie Vedder said, "That's right, that's all right. Why don't we give it a try? Let's play a song. He knows it. Let's start the song." So there you have a very young kid in his probably late teens, early 20s, and Pearl Jam, and then you realize that the members of the group could be easily the dads of the kid, right? So that's the situation we are facing. But let's remember, at least this is a personal opinion, Leonard Cohen, for example, or Johnny Cash did their best work before dying. They were very old, and for example, to me, Heart, the version 9 Inch Nails song, Trent Reznor Heart song, to me, that song, the best version is Johnny Cash version. So if you remember movie Boyhood, you remember Boyhood? Richard Linklater's, it's a film that was filmed actually of over 12 years with the same cast, which is pretty amazing. And Richard Linklater's Boyhood is, well, as you know, it's a story of growing up, but it's a coming of age through the eyes of a child that is named Mason, that we see literally growing in the movie. Ellar Coltrane he's the actor. He grows up on the screen before our eyes, and then the parents, Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette, are also growing. We see actually the protagonist of Reality Bites in his 40s, approaching his 50s, and then we see this process, and we are on it, and we have to embrace it. Time goes, children grow, we all age, and surprise, we're still here, but with more experience, right? In pop culture, actually, we can see that some have experienced a little bit of like the age of man. You remember those paintings where you see like a baby, a teenager, a mature person, and then an old person, and then death. Gen Xers can see that through pop culture artifacts like movies. We can say anything, John Cusack, 1989, then High Fidelity, right, the Stephen Frears, 2000, and then when we are reaching maturity, Boyhood, Richard Linklater, 2014, right? 2 John Cusack movies, another Ethan Hawke. Gen Xers, we do know that we come from an era that is not the same era we are living now, of fragmentation, media fragmentation, and memes, right? It's our era was still defined by cinema, by TV, by music hit lists, by alternative music, those who listen to alternative music. And some argue that we have lost something important in the process of just getting away from that, like some aura or romanticism or I don't know what. This golden era of pop culture has turned into an era of fragmentation and internet personalization that sometimes doesn't give us the same sort of satisfaction. But you know, we lived in an era where canned content, like the manufactured content, was the reality already. It's not that pop culture wasn't something predefined by people making calls before algorithms. Then it got automatized like now. But we were at the beginning of that process, right? We haven't seen like live orchestras in Broadway playing in the radio or something like that, like in the 30s of the 20th century. So this romantic argument that we've lost some authenticity, it's not something that starts with Generation X. Actually, we can go back like even to the 19th century. Some people were actually arguing that modern books, novels were kind of like diluting culture in a way, right? They were almost like pamphlets, right? So entertainment and digital culture always say something about the moment of society we live, right? So yeah, those born in the late 70s, like I was born in 77, have accumulated some experience, and it's not always something we should regret, right? It's something normal in life, and we actually can learn to appreciate the subtleties of impermanence, right? Well, I remember that playing music was a deal back in those times because it was, first of all, a conscious task because, you know, you needed to get to that music. Sometimes you didn't have the money, so you have to record it. Somebody was giving it to you, and then you had a cassette, and then you recorded it. So it was quite a process. I was living outside Barcelona, so you needed to know the markets, and you know, you needed to have also some stuff that would interest them. So you had like an interchange with the smart kids about with music, and also magazine, comic books, like the Beat Generation and all that, right? We were talking about young kids, 14, 15-year-old, right? Which is like my oldest daughter. She just turned 15. I just cannot believe it sometimes. Back then, when I was 15, we had to rely on others, and some of these cool friends had some, like the right vinyls or videotapes. We wanted good recordings, like chrome tape recordings of good music. And in this pre-digital era, because we're talking about the beginning of compact discs, right? But they were not quite there, right? DVDs were not there yet. So you have VHS tapes that won the battle against Betamax, right? And then, you know, you remember John Cusack's movies, like you remember the boombox of Say Anything. That's 1989, right? Or Boys in the Hood, also the boombox, right? In that movie, Cusack is showing the morosity of a music lover, a young age, right? But then you have the same guy approaching middle age on High Fidelity in the year 2000, a movie I really appreciate because it tells a lot about those smart kids, Gen Xers, that were the alternative guys just interchanging music, and I saw a little bit of that growing up. These inner city or urban kids kind of like being smart with music and etc., right? It wasn't a bad thing to have, especially because, you know, that gave you points with girls, for example, and all that, right? So now we're in a different situation. For example, Kirsten, my wife, she's a successful YouTuber. YouTube didn't exist back then. The internet was something that was related to universities. Well, first the army and then the universities, right? So it took 6 years to go from young Cusack's trouble growing up in High Fidelity and becoming like a mature person to, that's 2002. You remember when Time Magazine declared YouTube users the people of the year, right? That's February 2005, I believe. That's person of the year. So something had changed already, right? And digital information had transformed distribution that was years after Napster phenomenon and before Spotify, right? There is also iTunes, there is the iPod and then the iPhone. There are phenomena that we are products of right now, and especially the new generations, our kids, right? So Pearl Jam was fighting Ticketmaster not a long time ago, and now you see a video of Pearl Jam playing, and you can see not stopping. Those were the youngsters rebelling on TV when you were a 14-year-old, and you see them now, and by looking at them, how they are right now, you reflect on you also, right? You know, because we are talking about some sports people on their prime now could be, sometimes when they are very young, they can be very successful very young. They could be, they are half of our age, right? So we have a serious experience in this world already, right? Those days, content creation took some sort of craft, right? Because you needed to know the smart people, you needed to be comfortable with remixing in the analogic way, and creation from scratch and whatever. Then when digital came, everything changed. Not only music, but also us becoming also creators, like listeners or audience becoming part of the blend, with digital cameras and video cameras, and also with systems of production such as music editing and video editing, and became very pervasive and very cheap, very fast. Computers also follow the same process, and then cheap internet, wideband internet, broadband, and then the smartphone transformed everything to the point we are now, right? Let's face it, YouTube, this video is going to go up on YouTube on a very small account, a very obscure account. I like that, by the way. It feels a little bit like high fidelity, right? Trying to connect with these smart dots or whatever in a language that is not mine. It feels very much like me when I was 15 trying to listen to Pearl Jam or whatever. Those people from Seattle now have relatives in Seattle, but back then Sub Pop Records and Seattle were something very far away, right? From Barcelona at least, I thought it was like another universe. Now, as I say, we travel usually to Seattle, and we do have relatives there actually, and my kids have cousins there. So now my eldest kid, Inez, sometimes she asks how was back then before YouTube and whatever, before being able to post videos and then people watch them, and then they know who you are in the street sometimes, even when you reach the level of Kirsten, right? The audience Kirsten has, and some people even can grow a way bigger audience, right? Become the stars of our days. Things have changed. I sort of explained to her, look, sometimes by watching a movie together, we can sort of explain things to each other, and it's going to be a very rich experience. So Boyhood can be one of these experiences of communion in a family. Captain Fantastic too, even though Captain Fantastic starts with a big trauma, which is one of the parents who has an important problem, disappears from the movie basically. Captain Fantastic begins with a trauma, right? But at the same time, the movie shows the challenges we Gen Xers, we people in our 40s face today. We have families who are aging, values are being transformed, education is also changing, we have new challenges. Sometimes weeks pack such an amount of events that it's not only exhausting, but we think those weeks are decades. They are so rich and and feel so important. And then some others are more like we experience time and events back then. They look more laid back. But we do know some things go very fast in such an interconnected world. We created this sort of membrane of intelligence above our civilization with all this interconnection of media and information, for the good and for the bad. As you guys know, it's very easy to get a lot of people pissed very fast. Some people are very good at getting the worst from we all. And we should be aware of that. Let's remember time is going, and we do have these responsibilities, we don't have a lot of room for other things. Let's remember we have to cultivate ourselves, we have to rest. Let's remember we have also physical bonds, relationships in our neighborhoods and with people we see and talk to. The internet is important, and we have the opportunity to connect to other people all over the world. Remember though that there is a risk with that. Some people may trick us by trying to make us think they are believing something or they are into something that is very attractive to us. Let's remember, some people are sharing interests in a very genuine way. Some others are not. Some others do want something from us. Let's remember that at the end of the day, when we have to hang out together, talk to our kids or their friends, or go to an event or to a match or something, we are not that fundamentally different, even across our differences. And I would like to think that this very basic and rudimentary optimism can become our stepping stone for the future. I would like to think that, for example, Kirsten's videos or these videos I'm going to post on this small channel are also our little contribution to this sort of collective documentary we all are creating. This Boyhood, this version of Boyhood that is user-generated, this Boyhood Wikipedia, right? And you can participate and you can collaborate, you can create your own, but let's remember that the core of the project has to be our fundamental need that is not economic, it's not getting money, getting this sauce of this video so sweet that a lot of people are gonna come, so you are gonna get money. Let's relax a little bit and go to the part where we enjoy doing something, or where we want to share something with others so others can have a little bit of optimism in their quotidian in between things, right? So this video wants to find you well, and if you don't feel supercharged right now or whatever, just let's remember it's a moment in life, and then we do have very rich and very long lives. Yes, when you see Pearl Jam on social media, a kid just stepping on the stage and then just going into the drums and playing with them, you kind of like see physically that the person from the public could be the son of Eddie Vedder's son. Is half the age, or even I'd say is younger than that, right? There's some beauty on it too, because first of all, Pearl Jam still sung well, very well. I respect what they are doing, and again, to me, listening to last works by Leonard Cohen, for example, or Johnny Cash are refreshing thing. They are crystallized, good stuff. It's good stuff, and you see it also in literature. Let's remember that some important works were made by people that were of very old age, but they felt very young inside, right? So this is my little boyhood moment. Let's remember this is an evolution from Say Anything, a teenager with the boombox, to High Fidelity, young man having trouble being as an adult, to Boyhood, like middle age, kids growing in front of you, and you don't know how to push on pause, because first of all, pause is some sort of an illusion, right? Impermanence is a reality. Eastern philosophy can teach us something, right? We have to learn to appreciate it. Some things age well. Let's learn from these people and ideas and things that age well. The very shiny and plasticky things that are super nice at the very first moment, and from the second moment, from the moment after, they don't look that great. Let's remember, those things are like mirages. They tend to be too sweet and not that good for us long term. And this is my 5 cents or 50 cents, how do you say that, of cheap philosophy, but I hope some of you Gen Xers will appreciate. I'd like to see some comments on this. If you are, let's say, from between 35 and 55 and you feel represented by this video, let's comment on it, and so I just feel motivated to keep posting videos and rants like such as this one. Thanks. Bye.